Let's talk some shit.
Let's go!
All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Question and Aggression. My name's AJ with the band Nervous Aggression. So the series so far has been kind of like more of an advice to beginner musicians and everything like that. But since that's kind of like a specific target audience, and that's such a niche topic, videos probably aren't going to go very far. Plus, it's not just about how to make it in music and stuff like that. Like, I just hope everybody knows they can ask me really about anything. Like, just as long as it's nothing like too crazy personal, you know what I mean? But outside of that, I'm a pretty open book. So this is an idea I had that I think would be kind of interesting for really anybody, whether you're involved in the music scene or not. This is 5 horror stories. This isn't the top 5. This isn't the only 5. This is just kind of the first 5 that came to mind. But this is 5 horror stories that I've encountered through the years of doing music. Before I get started, I don't know if I want to throw anybody's name under the bus or anything like that, just because sometimes I've done bands a little dirty, completely unknowingly when I was starting out, just because I didn't know any better about booking and taking care of other bands and stuff like that. And I don't want something that's going to be on the internet forever to completely fuck someone up from ever booking shows again. Down the line, if I end up having bad enough stories, or I come up with bad enough stories and they're just a shitbag for it, I don't mind throwing them under the bus. So with all that out of the way, number 5, my brother Blake's last show with us. So this happened, I think this would put us somewhere around late 2017. We had done a few weekenders that summer. We're starting to build some buzz in my hometown, and not long before that, we released our EP called This Is Ragecore with, one of my personal favorite songs that I ever wrote on there called Heroin Is Ugly. Just a quick backstory, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who could kind of relate to it, and it's not really so much about hating people who do heroin or hating people who sell heroin, but that song was written coming from a place of I have a lot of really close friends of me who are dying or just not the same people they were. And heroin's just kind of ruining so many people, so many families, so many lives. And so not long after that, I was really passionate about wanting to do something to help. So got a hold of this vape shop in downtown East Liverpool. They had a band play there before for I don't know what it was. I think it was just a quick gig or something like that, which, whatever. And so I figured, hey, that's the only place in East Liverpool that does not, karaoke style, guitar cover music from folk songs in the 70s or whatever. So I reached out to the people who ran the place, and, they were really into the idea at first. I remember they promised me up and down, they would get these raffle tickets and get all these baskets together from local businesses, that they were going to make the flyer, they were going to make the event page, they were pretty much going to handle everything, and don't worry because they've got all this experience doing stuff like that. I can't remember if it was them or me, but we ended up finding a place. It wasn't a methadone clinic. I can't remember what it is, but I've heard my friends who unfortunately went down that path refer to it as the shot. And it's basically prevents you from feeling the effects of opiates. It's supposed to help you get away from doing drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. So we found a clinic who was, giving out the shot. We didn't really want to do a methadone clinic or whatever. Met with the lady there, got it all lined up, and my plan was just have a show, charge $10 at the door, maybe get another act in, and whatever money we come up with at the end of the night, probably would have wound up just being a couple $100, not too much money, but write it out on a check, give it to the people, boom, bam, done, easy. So once we have everything lined up, we know where we want the money to go, we got in contact with the people over there, everything's starting to go kind of smoothly, right? Well, then I start texting the owner of the vape shop, probably still 6-8 weeks out. Hey man, what about the event page? What about the flyer? Blah, blah, blah. Not hearing back from him. So I end up paying a visit down to the vape shop, and he's running a business, so I figure, he's a busy guy, whatever. He's cleaning windows, and I said, well, were you guys able to make a flyer? No, we weren't able to make a flyer, and of course there's no flyers, not even a piece of paper hanging up in their own shop. So there was no flyers hanging up in their shop. There was no event page. There was no businesses that they were able to raffle, which is a good idea, I guess, in theory, but they pushed for that so fucking hard. I don't know why. So, all right, whatever, dude. Like, I, took a picture that I took on tour and put that as like the cover thing. I made the event page. And I remember I was sharing it like every, like, probably 2 or 3 days, honestly. Like, I was like putting it out there. I had a lot of friends who actually like aren't involved in my music stuff at all asking me about the show and wanting to come out to it and stuff. So, seemed like whatever, it's gonna turn out fine, I'm thinking. So then day of show happens. And mind you, this is supposed to be Blake's last show. It's gonna be a send-off. As much as he loved being in a band and making music and doing all that stuff, the road just simply wasn't for him. So what better way to send it off than like a great benefit show for a great cause in his own hometown, you know what I mean? So here's where shit started to go haywire. Blake, I think it was Kyle and Alex were in the band at the time. They get to the event like 10 minutes before we're supposed to load in, which, mind you, this is like just a vape shop. This isn't like some giant concert hall or something like that. So like they wanted us to load in at a specific time. Okay, whatever, you're running a business, we'll get there. They got there like 5 or 10 minutes before they said load in time was. So basically on time for loading. Our mic cable took a shit, so I had to run across town really quick after we loaded up our gear while they went down there and started to unload everything. I figured whatever, that'd be fair enough. So by the time I get there, all the gear's loaded in on time. It's still like a good half hour before doors are supposed to open or whatever. And there's a few people actually hanging out in the shop. I think they're there to actually, check out the show, see what this is about. So the owner's buddy is in there like trying to give me shit for not being there on time with the rest of my band. But I'm like, buddy, what's the deal? We got all our shit loaded in anyway. I had to go run and buy a new mic cable. So it's like, whatever, they're being assholes and quiet. They're not really saying anything. And I step outside on a public sidewalk. We're hanging out. Kyle lights up a cigarette, and then this fucking dude, the owner's buddy, for whatever reason, took it upon himself to come out and fucking scream in Kyle's face and tell him, oh, what are you smoking cigarettes in front of a fucking vape shop, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, this is a public sidewalk. Calm the fuck down. We're here to just like play a gig real quick. And he's trying to give him shit and like saying like it's hurting their business or whatever. And it's like, dude, you don't even work here. Shut the fuck up. So he starts storming off back inside after we're like, what's the problem? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And my brother Blake can't fucking help his tongue. Sometimes he just goes, fucking Fred Durst, motherfucker. This dude looked like a poor man's Fred Durst too. And he turns around, he's like, all right, that's it, out, blah, blah, blah. And the owner comes out, you're all disrespectful, get your shit and go, blah, blah, blah. And then they turn around and start telling everybody, it's a small town, so word gets around, you know what I mean? They start telling everybody that we didn't do anything to promote the show, even though we're the only ones promoting the show. They told us that we dropped the ball on the raffles, we dropped the ball on the flyer, all the shit that they swore up and down that they were gonna do. So at the end of the day, we weren't able to like get that money together and give it to this clinic. And like, that's what it was all about. But no, they wanted to be fucking tyrants and run it their way specifically. And when it didn't turn out exactly how they planned, they fucking blamed us. So fuck vaping, honestly. Vaping's fucking retarded. Like, I don't wish his business to go under or anything like that. Like, I'm not that guy, but Jesus Christ, you're a grown ass man. Your whole identity is built around vaping. That's kind of fucking sad, don't you think? That takes us to, no, this is getting a little spicy. I'm getting fucking like, damn, dude. It's kind of bringing me back to that shit. All right, so this one is more of a road story, but like, it was probably one of the worst. I mean, this just jumped out at me of like bad promoter shit. This is actually, so I'm all flustered from that last story. All right, so this brings us to story number 4. And this guy has a lot less of an excuse because he actually has like a promotions company, a productions company, whatever he calls it, and he books bands. I don't want to throw him under the bus because I know some bands that I have some respect for work with this guy and seem to like him. Maybe this was just a bad experience, a lot of times first impressions can be wrong. So like, I'm not going to try to crucify him for it and put him on blast. However, I'm going to be very hesitant to ever work with this dude ever again. Number 4 is, I think this is like probably 2018-ish, 2019. We're doing a quick weekender down to Atlanta, and to break up the drive, even though it's like way the fuck out of the way, but it was another gig, whatever. We played a show in Norfolk, Virginia at this place called the Poorhouse. I had heard a lot of really good things about the Poorhouse. I've known bands to go through there and stuff and have really good experiences, so I was kind of excited to get down there, and plus like, you get a paid gig in a beach city, like, how do you turn that down? Well, it's supposed to be a paid gig. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, we drive down there, and of course I'm in my shitty old van. The AC doesn't work, so it's kind of fucking miserable. But by the time we get there, we find a like decent place to park. We're there early enough, so I run in, the place is kind of empty, but I'm like, whatever, this is like a few hours before the show's supposed to even start. And I go up to the bartender and I ask her, hey, like, what time do you think we should load in? I'm in Nervous Aggression. She looks at me and she's like, who? I said, yeah, I'm the singer for the band tonight, Nervous Aggression. There's a show. She's like, wait, what the fuck? I didn't know anything about a show. Calls the owner. He had no idea there was supposed to be a show going on. That concerns the fuck out of me. Now, I should be more diligent about this, but like when I'm doing out of town shows, especially when it's somewhere I'm not really familiar with and I don't recognize any of the bands on the bill, I just kind of assume, you know, okay, it's like a bunch of local bands and then we get to come through on it, you know? Well, that was wrong. So there was, I think, a total of like 5 or 6 bands booked for that night. 2 of the bands, us being one of them, were from Ohio. One of the bands was from New York City. By the way, quick side tangent, fucking Bosco Mojo from New York City. Bosco, M-U-J-O. Holy shit, one of my favorite bands I've ever got to play with. Incredible, energetic, aggressive, explode. Fucking shout out to Bosco Mojo. Love you boys. And then we had another band from Florida. They were really good too. Noxious Prophet. I don't remember if there was another band that played that night or not, but there was only one local support band. I don't remember their fucking name, but they ended up just no calling, no showing. So not only is there like not a local support band there to like bring people out of there, but now you got like 4 different bands there who are trying to split any kind of money. Since the show wasn't announced, built up, talked about, or whatever with the owner, there was no door guy there, so it's just kind of people coming in and out off the streets. We ended up making no fucking money that night, but we got to play a set and meet some cool bands, and there was a few people there. You know, we sold merch, it was okay. And I just want to stress this about the poorhouse before I move on to what pissed me off so much about this fucking promoter. The owner ended up coming in after like everyone was done playing, and he had something else going on that day and he was busy, but like he came as soon as he could. And he came up and shook my hand. He apologized to me profusely. He said, I'm so sorry, I'm not working with that fucking guy anymore. This isn't the first time he's done it. My staff said you guys were really good. If you need to come through Norfolk ever again, just get a hold of us directly. He gave me an undisclosed but a fucking pretty nice amount of money and a 6-pack of Mickeys from behind the bar and said, welcome to Virginia, hope you come back soon. So, if the poorhouse is still open, I think unfortunately they closed. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about that place. The sound was good, it was a smaller place, but not so small that it sucked. Just right for like passing through on tour. Nice downtown location, so good foot traffic, good food, great staff. Nothing but nice things to say about the poorhouse. So, this is where the shit gets even more wacky. Like, if showing up and playing with 4 out-of-state bands isn't wacky enough at, you know, a place none of us have played before. You know, we take the van to the beach, we finish off the beers, we're just hanging out, and we end up sleeping in the van. It was a pretty nice chill night and a cool evening, so we just slept on the beach. And so I wake up to a missed message on the band page from Mr. We gotta think of a name for him. We'll call him Mr. Producer, just for now. So I wake up to a message from Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer says, hey man, so how's that show last night? And I don't know if he couldn't like get my tone over the message, but I thought it was clear enough. I just said, well man, to be honest with you, we got there and the local support band dropped off. The club had no idea there was a show even going on. The owner wasn't able to get a door guy there, so nobody got paid. But yeah, I met some cool bands and the owner made it right with us, so I guess it wasn't too bad. Kind of implying like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you reached out to us to get us on this bill, and there's literally no promotion, there's no door guy, there's no nothing going on. Hell, that fucking local band probably had no idea the show was even going on. This motherfucker has the audacity to reply to me, oh, that's awesome that the show worked out really well. So anyway, you should send me a couple of shirts and some CDs and some stickers and stuff. New message, size large. Yeah, buddy, I'll get right on that. I guess other people who have worked with him and have had good experiences, maybe this was like a bad time for him or whatever, so I'm not trying to like throw him under the bus or put his name out there, but fuck you, Mr. Producer. If you see this, you know who the fuck you are. Fuck you, dude. I'm never gonna work with you again. All right, and coming at number 3, we take it back to our home area, Lisbon, Ohio. back to an area that, you know, thinks the punkest shit ever is like Sum 41 and Green Day and Blink 182. No hate if you like those bands, but what they do and what we do is very, very fucking different. This was a festival, the yearly Halloween festival in the Columbiana County area. And again, I think it still goes on. I don't want to put this dude on blast really, because like now we're at the point to where like we don't have any reason to do any business together or anything anyway. And he does good things for like smaller local bands in the area. And I love to see that. I really do. So this is another one I'm probably not going to say the name on, but it was a yearly Halloween festival. If you're from the area, you probably can put two and two together eventually. We ended up playing this Halloween show, one of his festivals before, at like, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It was kind of like a VFW, but it wasn't even a VFW or a Legion or anything. And it went fine. You know, we went out, we played our set. There was other bands on there as heavy as us. Like this was when deathcore was big, so it was fine. So this is like a year or two later. And we had just got off like our first big like 2 week long tour. So we're fucking red hot. This is like a week or two after that. We're like tighter than we've ever been musically, tighter than we've ever been like as a band. Just our chemistry is on point. And we're really starting to like feel this thing start to pick up some steam. Not only that, but like we had like a pretty decent sized section comparatively to all the other bands show up specifically to see us. So we're starting to feel pretty good. Sold a good amount of tickets too. Fuck pay to play. So all that's fine and dandy, right? Well, this is where the things start to go wrong. This dude, I don't know if he didn't remember us, didn't do any research, if we just didn't stand out to him the first time or what. But he decided to have this year's Halloween festival on like the fucking like 1978 or whatever all class reunion at like some nice marina area in Lisbon. So it's all like people like in their like late 40s, early 50s that we're supposed to play in front of. At the time we're playing songs like Heroin is Ugly, Fuck the Cops, Burn Down Your Local Walmart, shit like that. Profane, whatever. So I kind of started to have a bad feeling about this show like as soon as we rolled in. And I think Blake was trying to stay positive and he was trying to like keep me like from going into like an angry mood and not wanting to play. So I end up asking like, hey man, we sold tickets for this. I don't like doing ticket sales, but whatever, that's what we had to do. I want to know how much are we getting out of this ticket money, just so I know up front. And I think I even said to the guys, like, if it's not at least this much, we're fucking turning around and leaving. Like, he can keep them. So I see the owner walking around, I'm hanging out in the van, and I say, hey bud, come here, like, whatever his name is, we'll call him Bud. I literally don't even remember dude's name. But he walks over and he's like, hey man, what's going on? I was just like, hey dude, like, I just want to know, just like, tell me straight up, you know, we sold, I think we got like $300 worth of ticket sales at like 15 bucks a pop. So we, you know, we got a good number of heads out there for being like a smaller, localer band at the time coming off your first big tour. Like, that's not so bad, I don't think. So, hey bud, like, just tell me straight up, like, how much of this ticket money are we getting out of what we sold? And he said, 100% of the money you made from sales, you get to keep. Like, you keep 100% of ticket sales. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, thanks man, that's awesome. That makes things a hell of a lot better. Like, that's awesome that you're doing that. He's like, yeah, like, it's an all-class reunion, we made enough money from tickets from them, blah, 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 whatever. So we, you know, ended up handing over, I don't know who the fuck gave him the tickets and the money back, because if I was there, then I would have just handed him the tickets and kept the money, because that's what he told me to my fucking face. I don't know who in the band decided to hand him the money as well with the tickets, but we ended up only getting 75 bucks out of that right before we were supposed to go on. Okay, whatever, you know, we're already here, we're gonna play, what the fuck ever. We go on, we do our thing. You know, 80% of the crowd's fucking horrified and leaving, and then like 20% of like the old people that were there were like super digging it. They thought it was fucking awesome. The rest of them were like horrified and asking for us to like get shut down, and they were leaving, whatever. And then you got like our crew of people up front, like the only mosh pit that any of these folks have probably ever seen in their lives, like going and you know, it actually wound up being a pretty like fun set for all things considered. It was pretty tight. So we're getting to our last song called Parasite. I'm rolling around on the ground. I guess my boot had like kicked this dude's light fixture. He had lights going on. I'm kind of in the zone, just like flipping out and it's one of our hardest songs still to this day. And it's like, I'm just kind of getting into it. I guess I kicked this guy's light thing. Although I feel like I would have remembered that. That's what the sound guy accused me of. But where the trouble began is when I go up and I'm starting to sing and I notice the mic's not working, so I go to like fuck with the plug thing, you know? And the metal part literally just falls off and it's exposed wire. I'm like, okay, shit, that's no good. So I unplug it and I toss it on the drum riser. I go up to one of our backing vocal mics. I don't remember whose it was. I go to stage right though, and I go to finish it up, and I see this like, 5'8", 315-pound fucking just angry ass sound guy coming up to me, and he fucking gets in my face like, what the fuck's your problem? Breaking all my shit, blah, 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 while the song's going on. And I'm like, dude, the shit fell apart in my hand. I don't want you to, and he just cut me off and screams, bullshit. And I regret this, but I was like 22, 21 at the time. Like I wasn't thinking, and I fucking shoved that old fucker as hard as I can. He goes back. I mean, he was a big dude. He didn't fly back, but he went backing up. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. My bassist starts getting into his face. Blake throws his drumsticks, and Alex calmly and coolly turns off his amp and starts loading the gear. I get a couple people coming up in between us. I'm wanting to swing on this old piece of shit. Like, just don't fucking cut me off. Like, I don't know what he's even accusing me of. He was just being a fucking dick about it. Kind of ruined the end of our set. If he would have came up to me calmly afterwards and said, hey, dude, that wasn't cool, I would have been more than happy to pay for whatever he thinks I broke. So we get our shit out of there. I'm sitting there talking about, and by the way, Buddy Boy, the fucking promoter guy, has come up and he's trying to break it up. So me and sound guy have like people between us. Buddy Boy comes up to see what the problem is, and I said, and you motherfucker, you owe us about $275. Or I probably even said that too, but I, again, bad at math. It was more like $225. I'm like, where the fuck is that 100% of the money deal, huh? Like, I'm never playing this bullshit again. Fuck all of you. Fuck this bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Then one of the staff comes up, said they called the cops. I'm like, I'm out of here, because we got like, open containers and shit in the van. And I was like, I don't know. Was I a bit of an asshole in that situation? Yeah, absolutely. Could have handled it better, but like I said, we were red hot coming off the road and just felt utterly disrespected. Didn't react appropriately, but what are you gonna do? Young man stories, Coming in at number 2, we got a club that I don't think it's even open anymore. If it is, I don't know anybody who plays there. Sorry, but this was kind of a major fuck up. And so this is the story of Chuck's Steakhouse and the missing sound man. So this is like when we're really at the beginning of like actually playing out. I remember Akron was like really the first city we got into that played regularly. It's kind of funny too, because like where I grew up in East Liverpool, it's like we drove through Youngstown to get to Akron. Like we didn't really know anybody in Youngstown who was active enough or willing to put us on shows or anything like that at the time. We played like this weird nightclub thing turned concert venue a bunch called Vortex. That place is cool. They're still doing shit and they're more geared towards bands now. But the first like actual time I played with like other legit punk bands was at this spot called Chuck's Steakhouse. The owner and his dad were both really nice guys, and the one time we did play there and everything went well, like, I mean, they took care of us. The dad gave me some free wings, quickest way to my heart. The owner made sure, we made some money, which, at the time it was like $20, but making literally any money at all when you're starting out, means something, you know what I mean? So we ended up having a really good time there, and the first time we played there, and one of the bands we played with ends up telling us about Old Haunts Tavern, which they swore up and down it as like far and away a better club, and turned out it fucking was. R.I.P. Old Haunts Tavern, fucking one of my all-time favorite venues, no longer a venue. So we decide like, hey man, like let's help build a scene at Chuck's. Let's like throw a show there and like help them out too, because that was the first place we played. Like let's bring some good bands through there and like help them. So we get a show set up, drive about, I think it's like a good hour and a half, 2 hours or so to Akron. I think it's probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours to Akron from East Liverpool. We get there, walk in, fucking place is empty, which back then wasn't so much of a red flag because like we were just complete unknowns. But I did notice that off to the side where the stage was and where the bands played, like all the lights were shut out. So I go up and I ask the bartender like, hey, like where do we load in? Once again, just like at the poorhouse, no fucking idea there was a show going on. No idea anything was supposed to happen. And well, usually I can tell there's a show going on because the sound guy will be here. So if he's not here, there's no show. Looking around, there's no flyers. And actually, a couple people who came to the first Chuck's Steakhouse show were there to see us. The reason I put this one a little bit higher on the list, though, and the reason I think this one's a little more egregious is because, like, this was, like, a local show, and this was an opportunity for this guy to really, like, build up the local scene. So I got the owner's number in my phone. I tried calling him, like, 3 or 4 different times, leaving messages. Hey, man, nobody's here. Sound guy's not here. Your bartenders don't have any idea what's going on. What's going on? You know, we booked this show however long ago. I kept the event page active. I shared it out. My older brother made a flyer for it. Like, what the fuck? We just drove 2 hours to come all the way out here. Literally pretty much just fucking wasted our gas. And back in the day, that was really demoralizing, and that really hurt us, you know? I mean, we weren't making really any money at all off music anyway. The little bit we did make was from merch sales, and half the time we didn't even get enough for, like, gas on the way back. And of course, at the time, we're all younger dudes working like really low-level jobs, so it fucking really hurt us mentally and financially to even go out there and attempt this show. So one thing I do kind of regret is I did leave a pretty fucking nasty message on the owner's voicemail about, do you even know what the fuck you're doing? Do you even know how to run a club? Blah, blah, blah. It was a little out of pocket for that one. I was just a 19-year-old kid, barely learning the ropes myself. But I was fucking pissed. What can you say? But anyway, Chuck's Steakhouse, if you're out there and still kicking, I hope everything's going better. And I hope you don't forget to tell your fucking sound man about the shows that you book. And at number 1, the biggest reason I am so vocal against pay to play, the most egregious example of what pay to play is, the reason we were told we would never play Cleveland again, the Static X show at Peabody's in Cleveland. This is also way back. I'm probably about 20 years old for this one, 19 or 20. Again, really just getting my start. Really just now starting to play out of town and everything. And we land one of these shows all the way up in Cleveland, which is like a good 2.5, 3 hours from East Liverpool. Maybe more like 2.5 hours. But we land this show to open up for Static X. The reason this show is really kind of sentimental for us is because when I was younger, I lost my older cousin in a really horrible car accident. And one of his all-time favorite bands was Static X. I remember I always loved like going down to his room and looking at his CDs because he always had the cool music, you know what I mean? And I remember seeing a copy of Wisconsin Death Trip on his computer desk, you know? And I remember looking at it and he's like, hey man, I don't care if you listen to any CD you want, just put all the CDs back where you found them, and especially be careful with that case, because I got that one signed by those guys, so be really careful. That one's really important to me. And put in Wisconsin Death Trip, and holy shit, like, I was probably like 8 years old at the time, 9 years old at the time, and it blew my fucking dick off, dude. You know, as I got a little older, a little more into like punk and hardcore, it wasn't so much my thing anymore, but the fact that we had this opportunity to open for this band that was so important for my cousin, who is no longer with us, it was just like an opportunity of a lifetime for us, you know? And so, of course, you know, we have to sell tickets, so my dad and all of my cousin's friends showed up and bought a shitload of tickets from us. I mean, we sold, I don't know, a couple $100s worth of tickets, which at the time for us was just absolutely insane. And it was really cool because they all really came out, like, some of them loved Static X, some of them didn't really care for Static X, but all of them came out to support their friend's little cousin's band. And brought like a good number of people too. On top of that, we had our own crew of friends ride up with us. Obviously they had to buy tickets themselves to get in, but they didn't mind because it was like something to do that day. And we ended up as a 3-piece. At this time I was playing bass and singing. My friend Theo, who unfortunately also is no longer with us, and my brother Blake. And to this day, it's one of the like top 5 sets I've ever played. Like, we just were so fucking tight. I just remember being so into it. First time playing in front of like a room full of people, and I don't know most of them. And it ended up just being like this really great set. And this is kind of when I learned what pay to play was and what it was about, because again, just like the Abel Ween thing, we handed this guy, you know, we'll call it $300-400, maybe more. And we got back, I think it was roughly $17 and some odd cents, like 82 cents. And the fucking promoter counted out the pennies in front of us like a fucking prick. And that all happened like well before we went on. And, you know, that sucked. That was really discouraging. But what are you gonna do? You know, like, we're starting out. This is a big opportunity for us. We're not going to turn it down. We ended up playing the show. Now, here's where things kind of took a turn for the worse is, like, I remember specifically on stage, like, so my dad is clutch as fuck, and he ended up buying me a couple of tall boys before we went on, and he bought me one for the stage, and I remember it was like halfway through our set, he came up and he just handed me a shot, and I said into the mic, everybody who's drinking tonight right now, go get a shot, let's do a shot together. You know, you think they'd fucking appreciate me selling their liquor for them, you know what I mean? Like, never mind the fact that I could have got their liquor license revoked. We're not going to talk about that. What I did was great. But anyway, blatantly on stage doing shots, drinking beer, whatever. And I was drinking beer before I went on. And after the set, like, I'm outside drinking beer, and I end up talking to this one chick. I don't even really know who she is. It was more all my cousin's friends egging me on to, like, just go say hi to this chick, so whatever. I just went up and started bullshitting with her. Next thing you know, some fucking fat motherfucker in a Kiss shirt snatches me up and starts dragging me out of the door and saying, "You're out of here, buddy. You're out of here." This is quite a while after we got off stage. Like, he saw me drinking the whole time. He didn't say shit. So I end up getting kicked out and told that we'll never play Cleveland again, blah, 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 and underage drinking and this and that. Rumor mill comes out that it turns out that that was the fucking fat Kiss shirt wearing motherfucker's girlfriend. So he got a little spicy and, like, decided to throw me out. Like, I literally wasn't even hitting on her. I was just saying what's up because they were egging me on to, and I wanted them to leave me alone. I am pretty handsome, so if you're a fat dude in a Kiss shirt, you better hide your girlfriend from me, boy. I'm a taker. But anyway, that whole show, like, outside of the set was incredible, but everything else was just awful. Like, we got robbed before we even went on and played. I got humiliated in front of, like, a bunch of my friends and the people who liked us. Got kicked out before we can really move any CDs or merch or anything like that. And the worst part of it all is I had to miss Static X's set. I wasn't able to go back in and watch. But when I got kicked out, literally everyone left with me. So that felt kind of cool that everyone had my back like that. All right. I guess that about does it for 5, what am I going to call this? 5 horror stories? 5 horror stories, I guess, is probably a good name for it. Again, that's not my top 5. Those are just the first 5 that I came up with for this video. Next one, I'm going to be a little bit more careful with the order I tell them because I feel like this started out kind of spicy and really wound down on the last 2. And I got horror stories for days, whether they're directly show related or vehicle related when we're far away from home or whatever. But I'll make sure to organize them a little better so it's like spices up as the video goes on. So if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thanks again for checking it out. My name's AJ with Nervous Aggression. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so that way when we release videos you can check them out. We got a lot of pretty big shit in the works band-wise, and a lot of that's going to take place on the YouTube channel. As always, you know, we got other stuff on this channel other than just the series. We have some full sets from our band as recent as like last summer. We have a DIY music video that I'll put a card up to right here. And make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Bandcamp, all that stuff. Follow us on social media at Nervous Aggression Official on Instagram, nervousaggression.com. No, facebook.com/nervousaggression. I really need to get better at plugs. I think that about does it. So, hey, thanks again for checking out the video. Come here, Debo. Say bye to the people. Say bye to the people, bud. Bye. I didn't kill him, by the way, in that one video. Some dude got mad at that. Real quick, I posted that R.I.P. Bebo little skit I'm sure a lot of you guys saw on a reel on Facebook. Some guy angry reacted it. Like, dude, I'm not going to kill my fucking dog. Jesus Christ, he is annoying. But I love him. All right, later.
Let's go!
All right, watch out, bud. Ow, goddammit. Oh, my fucking dick. My dick and balls. Dude, you got my dick and my balls. Can you believe it? I can't.